G'day, I'm Sean, and today we're going to go into a little more detail about the new features inside the Hi-5 SX, as well as take a look at some new sets. Let's get into it. All right, so for today, I've requested a little bit of help, and I've brought in the product manager, Tobias, who's in charge of all ARRI ECS devices, including the Hi-5 SX. Hello, Tobias.
Hi, Sean.
Maybe you could give us a little bit of an elevator pitch about what the Hi-5 SX does.
Sure. So as the name suggests, the Hi-5 SX is the successor of the well-known S61. And in the last couple of years, we talked to lots of users, and we got plenty feedback telling us that we love your single-axis unit, but please give us a more modernized version of that unit. And we asked, yeah, definitely it's on our roadmap. What features are you missing, or what actually do you want for a single axis 2 or for the successor of the single axis to be? And they told us, yeah, you know, we love your radio modules. Please give us new radio modules. We love the knob. We especially love that you can set the friction of the knob. So please give us a better knob. We definitely need lens data. We need a display and get us the lens scales. And we also really want to get a more robust and sturdy unit that fits into the Hi-5 ecosystem. So the whole design like we have with the Hi-5 and also introduced with the ZMU4. And so we got all this feedback, and then we actually had the plan to design a new single axis unit. And in the process of doing so, we realized that the Hi-5 hardware or the single axis is like already 90% of what the Hi-5 can do. So coming back to your question, short addition to the single axis unit, it's a single axis handset, which means you can select one lens axis, being it focus, iris, or zoom, and you can decide, and this is the beauty of reusing the hardware now, you can decide if you want to control it via the knob, so you can have focus, iris, or zoom on the knob, but you could also assign the slider or the joystick to either of these lens motors. In addition, the unit gives you basic camera control. We updated the camera control screen to make it, I think, much nicer to operate with. ARRI camera control is included in the package. We have all the options for Sony and Red camera control. And of course, we totally redesigned the user interface. So the single axis Hi-5 is not a just sized down version of the Hi-5 hand unit. It's really optimized and redone user interface to make this unit what we believe the perfect single axis hand unit.
Okay, maybe you could touch on a little bit about what the benefits are for using the same hardware as the Hi-5 hand unit.
Yeah, sure, because this was actually a very interesting process. Initially, as I just said, we wanted, or the intention was that we need to have an updated single axis unit 1, which would be, I think, the single axis unit 2. And when we sat down and got all the features, and then we realized when we create a brand new unit with the feature request from the customers, we came up with a unit that would cost us almost the same price than on Hi-5, but slightly redesigned. And when we understand that the Hi-5, the hardware, the body itself, is the perfect platform for also a single axis hand unit, because many people had used the Hi-5 as a single axis unit already, for example, giving it for iris control to a DP, basically get the price of the unit into a very attractive region. So this is also something that we will address a little later in this talk, where we show the sets and also the prices of the sets in euros.
Yep, cool, okay. Now, you mentioned the interface. So there have been quite a lot of changes, I guess, under the hood, redeveloping the interface so it looks like a dedicated single axis hand unit. Maybe you could show me a few of what those changes have been.
Yeah. So first of all, I think this is the most important stuff. By just having one lens axis, we basically reduce the amount of lens scales that you get to the one that you are controlling. If you have a knob, you have the lens scale on the right side, but it automatically adjusts. If you want to decide to control via the slider, you get the scale on the slider side. So we kind of found algorithms that automatically set the display to make it most easy to use for the people. We also reshuffled the whole data on the display. As you can see now, we have the iris value and the zoom value on the very bottom of the unit, also in a kind of new layout. And this layout gives us plenty of new room. Above the main value of the center, we have this area which basically you can select if you want to have the distance information from an UDM or from a focus box CNRT, or if you have a Cinefade, RND, or rotopolar filter, you could also get the value on this screen. But in addition, we created a brand new segment, which we call multi-segment. And this is the segment underneath the main value. And this is a customizable segment that users can basically define in the menu what they want to see there.
Okay, cool. So what can we show? I can see that there's the camera status there at the moment, which is new.
Yeah. So the camera setting is a part that we believe is very attractive for DPs or DITs when you want to control cameras. And it was also requested by users tell us, please, we want to have like on the main display, see the most important camera settings, right? Always and anytime. In addition, when you go into the menu, so you can adjust what you see in this multi-segment in the menu, under page, in the main menu. And you can also see at the main menu that we minimize the amount of menus, so we redid the menu structure that makes it easier to use. All these settings will be under System, and in System you now have a buttons and display setting. In here you have the multi-segment. Currently it's set to camera info. You can turn it off if you want. You can have it in camera info. You can have an aux motor, an aux scale. Like if you have a fourth motor, like a CFOS Mini RF set to aux axis, you can control aux with the all axis license. And then you can have an aux motor here. You can get the distance information. For example, a second distance from a focus bug unit. You can have like the horn and a bug, both values on the main display.
Which previously you couldn't, so you could only have one device beforehand, but now you can see two at the same time.
Yeah, in the current firmware, you basically can select the active distance device, which you can toggle through. Like you have like an A and B, and you can have bug 1 or bug 2 or horn and bug. But now you can have both those items on the screen and see the distance value of both items. Okay. And then we have some, I think, just interesting stuff, like you can see the time that's set in the hand unit on your display, or we have a timer or counter, and you can also synchronize this timer counter with the rec button. For example, gives you a clock timer. You press recording, and just the timer starts to count up, and you see how long is the shot. Or you can have like a counter, 30 seconds. When you press recording, it counts down and gives you a small alert when the shot, like when the 30 seconds are over. One example, you need to do multiple of these short clips, and which need to be precisely 30 seconds, just makes your life easier.
Cool.
And this multi-segment, because we got a lot of feedback from users, and all these features which are in the multi-segment, they are designed mostly by user inputs. This is also something that actually really want to address in this talk here today, that whenever you have an idea or you have like, this would be the perfect feature for the multi-segment, please reach out to us. We're really interested to listening, and it's very likely that maybe the feature you request will be then in the upcoming next firmware of the Hi-5 ecosystem.
Cool. Please, I mean, some good examples of where you can contact us. There's the PCA ECS Facebook group, and there are a couple of Reddit threads, including r/focus puller, which we regularly monitor, or I do especially. And also you can email us directly at ecs@arri.com, which is just ecs@arri.com. And yeah, we'd really love to get your feedback and suggestions.
Yeah.
All right. This is all super fantastic. If I'm a focus puller, what changes have we made if I was using this as an iris control handset on a larger set in network mode?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, the single axis works in the same network than the Hi-5, and it's designed that you have a focus puller using a Hi-5, and you have, for example, a DP or DIT getting the single axis just for iris control. Which means if you're connected to the same camera, all the metadata are shared. As you can see, you're controlling focus now, but you see the iris value, you see the focal length of the camera. In case of a zoom lens, you would also see which focal length is currently set on the zoom lens. So all the metadata are shared in our ARRI ECS system, and also stored whenever we can in an ARRI camera for post-production purposes, which is a very important feature in today's market.
Sure.
So if you want to change, for example, let's presume the standard setting, you want to have now iris control on the knob. You can go into the menu and set the knob to iris. Definitely would work. What we recommend, and that's also one of the features that we will show in more detail today. So basically all you need to do is take the iris ring, attach it to the unit, and as you can see, it automatically reads in and sets the unit for iris control, and now you control iris. The iris value, the T-stops, is now on the main display value, and the focus value is in feed on the left lower corner, where previously the iris was set. So everything is automatically adjusted, and also in case of a lens change, you just need to put on the ring for the new lens, and that's all you need to do. So for DPs, give them a couple of rings, and they can just need to put on the rings and no need to go in any part of the menu settings of the Hi-5.
And I have to say that showing the iris value there is a much clearer display than what we previously had, where you had the slider and way more information on the screen. So if you're a DIT that just really needs to focus on that information, I think that's much clearer. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's actually exactly the purpose of the single axis, because we saw that it's perfect for owner operators or ACs pulling focus, but it should really also be the perfect unit to control iris, for example, for DPs and DITs. And these people, they really need the clear view of what is the T-stop value on the display.
Now, these rings. So you said that this was a custom ring, and I know that you had a lot of fun at Cinegear, where I couldn't go to, talking with people and showing them how to make custom rings, and you had a lot of good feedback, right?
Yeah.
How was the process at Cinegear?
So the process at Cinegear was very simple, and it was really great fun, I must admit. Thanks for everybody who was there. I really enjoyed being with you. This is actually one of the rings I just see that we made for Cinegear. So we made a specific single axis ring where we added the user's name. So people actually, they showed up at our booth. We had this pre-designed scale in the vector graphics. We had a printer at the booth. We just got the name of the users or of the people. We added the vector graphics and added the people's name on the ring. Then we printed the ring on this label with a standard laser printer. And then we had a couple of scissors, and people can just basically play around, cut out their rings. We stick them on a blank ring, program the blank ring, and all these guys, they have now like a user customized design 2-feet ring with their names on. Cool. And that's basically the process we did at Cinegear. And basically at home, you can do a similar process, and you have all design freedoms that you could actually think of.
So if you're making a custom smart ring from scratch, how long would the whole process take?
Yeah, so the whole process is actually really fast, and the whole user interface is in the hand unit. And if you don't print your own designed scale, the whole process can definitely be done in way less than 1 minute.
Okay, very cool. Well, should we make a smart ring?
I'd love to. I think we have a blank ring with us here today.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So basically what I recommend doing is whenever you make a custom ring, put on a blank ring. And by the way, these blank rings, they are now called custom smart rings, but they're the same thing. So every blank ring that was shipped in the past with your hand unit is working as a custom smart ring. So don't worry about that.
And I think this feature really, it kind of clicked for me why we had chips in those blank rings for all this time. So it's very cool to see them being put to use now.
Yeah, it's one of the hidden secrets in the Hi-5 hand unit, and there are more to discover, I promise. So you basically attach the blank ring, and then we have the brand new ring menu. And this is a small change, so we actually move the radio menu into the main menu, and the ring menu is now at the main display, because people told us, actually, we don't need to set the radio channel 5 times on a day, but rings is a very important feature. That's why we bring it to the main display. You go into the ring menu, and as I see it right here, we have a new called safe mode. That's the standard mode for custom, for the smart rings, which basically means the rings are now in safe mode turned on, only read-only rings. Okay. But you can always put on a new ring. The Hi-5 will recognize the new ring, but if you remove the ring, it just stays on, and assuming the ring is still on, then you attach a new ring and it just reads in the new ring. This makes it like much safer to use, and no worries at all that a smart ring will be like dismissed while the camera is running.
Very cool. Okay.
Good. So you attach your ring, and then underneath you have the new create custom ring part. First thing you need to select is, want to make a focus ring or want to do an iris ring. I think we just said do a focus ring, feet or meter. It asks you which direction you want to rotate the knob, regular or reverse. And then it asks you if you're a left-handed or right-handed person. So you can do really left-handed reverse, left-handed, right-handed reverse, whatever you want. Cool. I'm right-handed person. And then the whole user interface, I think it's really easy to understand. With the knob rotation, you select the up and the lower limit, so close focus and far focus value. The standard ring, if you start the process at 2 foot until infinity, the logarithmic ring, but you can just, for example, select a different close focus value, let's say 5 feet 8 inches set. So now I've made a 5 feet 8 inches ring, which goes until infinity.
But we could also set the infinity to be like 20 feet if you wanted. You can be any 2 distances.
Yeah. Some good examples, if you have the time, like you're on a large 1000 mil zoom lens, you can make a limit, let's say from 100 feet to 150 feet and only pull focus in this region. Okay. Or the contra part, like you have on a macro lens or on these probe lenses, where you need to work extremely precise in the close focus area. You can make a ring which goes basically from 0 to very just a couple of inches.
Okay.
And then you have the whole precision of the whole knob rotation to pull focus on this small area. Just some examples, and there are even wilder ones. You can even create a ring that would go from 15 feet to 10 feet to 15 feet, like a girl on a swing, and you can continuously pull focus while the motor is moving forth and back like a swing. Believe us, there are crazy things. Not everything has an immediate use case, but we also know that there comes these tricky shots, so this might be life-saving for you guys.
I'm sure this is going to be one of those times where the users will tell us how to use the product in a way, or like use it in ways that were unintended, which is actually really fun for developers, I think, to see that.
Actually, my philosophy is, especially as I'm not a focus puller, and I think most of you people know that, I listen to the people, and we want to give you the freedom to use the product in all kinds of situations and environments. You decide how to use the product, and we want to make the perfect product for any situation. This is kind of my philosophy behind this whole design, and the new features hopefully also represent this in a very good manner.
Cool.
You could also do like intermediate errors. I can say move 10 feet to a different knob rotation, set it, delete it again. You could even do linear focus rings if in case. Tons of stuff you could do. Let's just assume we make a 5'8" 8-inch ring to infinite. We go save. It asks us for the name on the display. That's the small part which is on the display, giving you the ring name after you attached it, like 5'8". Set, and then it asks you for a file name in the new ring browser on the Hi-5. Let's just make a TT for Tech Talk. Set, and now it asks you if you should flash the ring. You just say yes, export it, or flash it. And now the ring is already programmed. Okay. So all the information is now on this small chip.
Right. Okay. Very
good. And you're basically now set. You can just mark the ring. And by the way,
this little guy, which was from Florian Bellac, thank you very much, which is a ruler so that you can draw very nice, neat, straight lines with your Hi-5. So if we stick that on.
It's a really nice and handy device that allows you to manually mark focus rings. Just put it on your Hi-5, then attach the smart ring, and then you can basically just go through the menu and add marks on the ring and have like a cleaner look than if you mark just by hand. This is the fast process, and if you don't want to do it more accurately or have more time doing preparations, you can also export this kind of graphics. This will be showing to you in a second. I also know that a lot of you people are really interested in how to make iris rings, and I also showed this maybe in a second.
Now, the one cool little thing I really found with the iris rings is that I know many second ACs who've sat through a prep week, having to make up iris rings for a single channel handset, but having to make one ring per lens. And on some massive jobs, you might have 30 or 40 lenses and you need to make 30 or 40 rings. But now we can just have, say, a couple of different rings which have, unique wide open T-stops, but then use the same ring across a whole heap of lenses. So why don't we go through and make one of those?
Very good examples, because we heard feedback from many DPs who used our iris rings, and you always have this T1.7 lens, and then we don't have the Primark ring. Or another cool feature, people don't want to have the lens T-stop spread along the whole 350 degree of rotation, but only at parts of this, and this can all be done with the iris ring. So I just showed to you how this is done. This is the same ring we just did, the focus ring. Now we don't need to delete the ring because it just happens in the process independently or automatically. You're going to create custom ring and tell I want to make an iris ring. Again, standard or reverse rotation, right or left-handed.
We never had reverse iris rings as well, and I know one particular DP in Australia who likes to have 2 SXU1s, and he wanted to run one in reverse so that even though one was upside down, they both pulled in the same direction, and now we could do that. So, Ben?
Yeah. So same as with focus, you set basically an open iris value. You can edit this. You have a close iris value. You can edit this. Let's assume we have an impression. No, we have a signature prime lens here today, which opens at 1.8 T-stops. So we just say it's a 1.8 T-stop lens, which goes on the 22, but we don't want to have 22 at the full knob rotation. So we edit here and, for example, say close. So now we would make a lens from 1.8 to close. And we grab 22 and move 22 to the center position. Say set, save the whole file, just have the name, set, then the browser name, set, program this ring, yes, and now the ring is basically programmed and ready to go.
Cool. And I can see that actually the Hi-5 S6 has already understood that and changed control to iris, which is cool. And then you have quite a, nice.
As soon as the ring is red, it automatically changes.
So
iris.
Any Hi-5 or Hi-5 S6, you put that ring on, it will feel the same. And because of the lens data system that we're using, any lens that you use will also feel exactly the same with that ring. So you have complete consistency with everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And now, because I think also with iris rings, it's pretty easy and nice to show the whole customization process on the GUI of making this ring design. In the same ring menu, you have now a Manage Custom Ring. If you have the blank ring or the smart ring attached, it automatically reads in this ring. If you have no ring attached, you can select the ring file in this process. So now say Design a printable scale. And now basically you have minor and major. Major are all the lines with numbers and minor are the lines in between. And density sets the amount of lines in between. So currently we have only the full stops marked. If you press once, you get also a third of a stop as a mark. Second, you get a fourth of a stop, tenth of a stop, only full stops. You can basically decide how many small lines in between the full stops you have. Let's say standard third of a stop. You can say how thick the main line should be, how long, where to position the numbers. Let's just make a very quick ring. Go into minor. You can also say how thick the minor lines are and how long. I like to be them very consistent. And then you already created a ring which pulls from 1.8 to 22. And on the bottom is still close. And as soon as you have a thumb drive or a USB drive in your Hi-5, either USB-C or USB-A, you can export this file. It's a vector graphics and open it in, for example, Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape, free tool. Modify, have fun, design whatever crazy ring you want, and then print the ring. And as you will see also in the vector graphics, there is a small tape measure or ruler on the print, because every printer slightly rescales the printed sheet. So you must make sure that the size of the printed label is really accurate. So adjust then the size in the vector graphics until the printed label is really accurate to the measures. And then you just need to cut it out either manually, or you have this printer cutter combination tools. Stick it on the ring. There are different kind of like letter sheet or letter sized label, A4 sized labels. We will have some recommendations that we will use, or we used for making our custom rings. We tried tons of different labels, and basically most of them really worked pretty well.
And I think it's important to mention as well, these labels were actually just printed with our laser photocopier upstairs, and I think the price per piece of paper we used is like €1, and you can fit 5 rings on it. So it's super economical, and you can just redo them over and over again when you need to.
Yeah, and it's actually really fun to design these rings. And believe us, it's way easier than you think to stick the whole ring on the whole label onto the ring. So yeah, for focus is basically the same thing. I would personally now in the vector graphics just delete the close mark on the ring and just make it clean at the end. You could add your name, your label, your logo, QR codes. Rental houses can add QR codes. Infinite possibilities.
Cool. Let's talk about camera control, because there have also been some changes there as well.
Yeah. So the camera control page is something that we, based on user feedback, redesigned. It gives you the same control features as in the past, but the workflow and the process is way better now. Especially because I personally love to use the thumb on the joystick to go through all the menus. So as soon as you're in camera control page, you basically only need to go up and down with your thumb. For example, change the frame rate or exposure index or white balance. Right goes into the menu, select a different white balance setting. Right, select the setting, now it's already set. ND filter, add a 0.6 ND, it's all done just with your thumb.
And everything you can change is on the right-hand side, and we've moved all the status information to the left.
Yeah.
I think it looks like a much more modern design. It's
way more modern, the workflow is much better. Also from the people we already showed the preview of this firmware, the feedback was very positive, that basically people really love this new design of the camera control page.
Great. Anything else that we need to touch on with what's new with the S6?
There are lots of new features. In general, it's also kind of a feedback from the users is, please make the unit more approachable. We know that the Hi-5 is it's a very powerful unit. So it has some complexity in it. Just these custom rings makes, for example, change settings very, very easy and fast. We reduced and optimized the menu structure so you can find the settings, what we believe, way easier and more easily than in the past. We reorganized the user buttons because user buttons are such an important thing to make the workflow fast. So we also reorganized the user buttons to make it way easier to find the user button you're looking for. So the whole unit, also for a single axis, you will have less menus, like calibration menu will just be the axis you're controlling, or all axes. So it's definitely a unit that's more approachable. That's also part of the redesign we did with the single axis.
And we have some new buttons.
We have some new buttons. Yeah, good that you say. So as people know, we have this blue single axis joystick cover. And in addition, this is something what people already, I think, are waiting for quite a while, are the new buttons. It took us quite long because we made sure that we test intensively that these new buttons, they work perfectly for many, many years. Every single axis handset will ship with the new buttons. And also Hi-5 owners who have the old buttons design, we are working on a concept through service that people can upgrade the hand unit to get also these new buttons, probably together with a full service of the Hi-5 for a flat rate.
Okay, fantastic. And more news on that in the next couple of months, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Any more questions?
Not that spring to mind immediately. I'm just about to get into all the details with pricing and with the sets. So for now, I say thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's great to have the brain behind the product sitting here, or one of the many fantastic brains.
There are many people behind this product, and I'm happy being here today.
Awesome. Thanks, Tobias.
Thank you.
We'll be with you in 1 second. Now, if you'd like to purchase a Hi-5 SX, well, we've put together 3 kind of standard sets to get you started. All of the pricing I'm going to mention will be in euros, so of course different regions will have different pricing, and all these prices are valid from the 1st of July 2024, so if you're watching this video a few years down the track, well, things might have changed a little bit. The most basic way to buy into a Hi-5 SX is with the body kit, and it basically just gives you the Hi-5 SX hand unit body. So no radio module or extra doodads. You get a single custom smart ring, and this set is really designed for people who might already have a bunch of Hi-5 accessories, such as a rental house. That will start at 4,460 euros. Now, the most common way that we think people will buy a Hi-5 SX kit is with the basic set. That will also give you an RF EMIP radio module, so you can connect directly to an ARRI camera or a device like the C-Force Mini RF. You also get 2 batteries and a charger, as well as the hand strap and the neck strap and a screen protector. And that will start at 5,960 euros. If this is the first device that you're buying as part of an ARRI ECS kit, well, you'll probably be interested in the ECS single axis starter set. That is the first time we've put together a kit like this, and it includes a C-Force Mini RF, as well as the Hi-5 SX and the radio module, and kind of everything that you need to get up and start working with pretty much any camera or any lens. So you get 3 cables with this. You get the L-bus to DTAP cable, which will allow you to just power the C-Force Mini RF, so you can really use it with any camera and any lens, and it will be kind of handy to have that cable in your kit in the future. You also get the CAM to RS cable, which will work with the Mini RF to enable run-stop on a whole heap of different cinema cameras, including ARRI ones. But you also get the CAM to L-bus cable, which will allow you to have camera control from any Hi-5 SX on the Alexa 35 and on the Alexa Mini LF. It's also a handy cable if you want to use the C-Force Mini RF in a daisy chain with other C-Force motors at some point. So I think that's a really cool, nice little kit, and I expect a whole bunch of new owner-operators will be excited to get into that because it also has a nice little bundle discount attached to it as well. We're also introducing a new 5 ring set, so if you need 5 custom rings, because we think that also people who aren't owner-operators but regularly use a Hi-5 will be interested in that, well, we have a new set for you. Licenses. There are 2 licenses available for the Hi-5 SX, and they will both be €2,000. They are the Hi-5 SX Plus license, which basically makes the Hi-5 SX into a unit which has all really advanced focus pulling features. And then we have the Hi-5 SX All Access license, which would make the Hi-5 SX into a 3-axis simultaneous control hand unit. It also gives you access to the aux axis control for a 4th lens motor and things like virtual t-stops and virtual focal lengths. We've got all that extra information on the license breakdown at arri.com/hi5sx. Both of those licenses are available from alshop.arri.de, and together, well, then you would have a Hi-5 SX which is indistinguishable from a Hi-5, especially when you include the black force pad cover, which is included in all of these sets. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to drop them in the section down below. And until next time, we'll see you later.